She booked a single dad for one night, unaware he was a billionaire CEO in disguise. The rain wouldn't stop that night. It came down in sheets, blurring the streetlights and turning the city into a smear of silver and gray. Inside a small apartment, a woman sat alone on the edge of her couch, phone shaking slightly in her hand, wondering how one kind decision could possibly change everything. She had no idea that the man she was about to meet, tired eyes, borrowed jacket, and all, was carrying a secret far bigger than the storm outside. And neither of them knew that kindness, offered without expectation, was about to rewrite both their lives. Before the story begins, if you enjoy heartfelt stories that restore your faith in people, please take a moment to subscribe, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. This is Heartfelt Moments, where small acts of kindness lead to life-changing stories. The woman's name was Emily Carter. She was 32, worked long shifts as a hospital billing clerk, and lived paycheck to paycheck in a modest apartment in Ohio. Emily wasn't bitter about life, just tired. Tired of bills. Tired of being alone. Tired of doing everything right and still feeling like she was falling behind. That evening, Emily had posted a short listing on a local community app. It wasn't what people assumed when they heard the headline later. She wasn't looking for romance. She had offered her spare room for one night to a traveling single parent who needed a safe place to stay during the storm. She asked for a small fee, just enough to cover utilities, and promised a warm meal and a quiet place to rest. Most people ignored the post. One man replied. His name was Daniel Reed. His message was polite and brief. He said he was a single father passing through town with his 7-year-old daughter, Lily. Their car had broken down, and hotels nearby were either full or far too expensive. He asked if the offer was still available. Emily hesitated. Letting strangers in wasn't usually her thing. But something in his message felt honest. Maybe it was the way he mentioned Lily first, or how he apologized for the inconvenience before even asking. Against her better judgment, Emily said yes. An hour later, Daniel arrived with Lily, both soaked from the rain. Daniel wore worn jeans, scuffed shoes, and a jacket that looked borrowed. Lily clutched a stuffed rabbit with one missing eye. They looked exhausted. Emily didn't ask many questions. She handed them towels, put on a pot of soup, and showed Lily where she could draw at the kitchen table. Daniel kept thanking her, over and over, like he wasn't used to kindness coming without strings attached. Over dinner, Emily learned that Daniel had been raising Lily alone since her mother passed away years earlier. He spoke softly, carefully, like every word mattered. Lily laughed easily, especially when Emily let her sprinkle crackers into the soup. That night, Emily gave them her bed and slept on the couch herself. When Daniel protested, she shrugged and said, "You need it more than I do." She meant it. What Emily didn't know was that Daniel Reed wasn't just any struggling single dad. Daniel was actually the CEO of one of the largest tech logistics companies in the country. A billionaire. But that night, none of that existed. His driver had been sent home earlier. His credit cards were frozen due to a fraud alert. His car, an old one he drove intentionally, had broken down during a rare solo trip with Lily. He hadn't told anyone who he was. He wanted, just once, to be treated like a normal person. The next morning, Emily woke early to get ready for work. She found Daniel in the kitchen, carefully packing Lily's bag and washing the dishes she had used. He left cash on the counter, more than she had asked for, and a handwritten note thanking her for reminding him that good people still existed. Emily tried to refuse the extra money, but Daniel insisted. "Please," he said. "It means more to me than you know." They said goodbye with simple smiles. Emily assumed she'd never see them again. 2 weeks later, Emily was called into her manager's office. Her heart sank. She expected bad news. Instead, she was told her department was being restructured, and her position was eliminated. She drove home in silence, hands gripping the steering wheel, wondering how she would survive. Rent was due. Savings were gone. That night, she sat on the same couch and cried into her hands. The next morning, there was a knock at her door. Standing there was Daniel, clean-shaven, well-dressed, and flanked by a quiet assistant. For a moment, Emily didn't recognize him. Then he smiled. He explained everything. Who he really was. Why he had been traveling quietly. How that night in her apartment had stayed with him. He told her that Lily still talked about the nice soup lady. Daniel offered Emily a job at his company. Not as charity, but because her compassion, judgment, and integrity were exactly what he wanted in someone managing community outreach programs his company was launching. Emily was stunned. She didn't know what to say. "You didn't help me because you thought I could give you something," Daniel said. "You helped me because it was right." "That's rare." Emily accepted. Months passed. Emily's life slowly changed. She moved into a better apartment. She smiled more. She even started mentoring others the way Daniel had trusted her. And Daniel? He never forgot where it started. Neither did Lily, who insisted Emily be invited to her birthday every year. But the real change wasn't money or jobs or titles. It was the reminder that kindness, when given freely, has a way of coming back in forms we never expect. Emily didn't open her door that night hoping to meet a billionaire. She opened it because two people needed help. And that simple act became a turning point, not just for her, but for a man who had everything except proof that kindness still mattered. In a world that often tells us to protect ourselves, to close off, to assume the worst, this story reminds us of something powerful. Kindness doesn't need recognition. It doesn't need reward. But somehow, it always finds its way back. And maybe tonight, someone else is standing in the rain, waiting for a door to open.